and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, episode 309 for the week of May 16th, 2017. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
And Charlie.
And from across the internet,
Julian Titus.
Hello, Julian. How are you?
Good. I feel like I'm like an honorary member of the conspiracy at this point.
You've been on you've been on more episodes than probably most of our not regular people. So yeah, you've been on a good number.
I think him and Kevin Sharp are probably...
Yeah, Kevin's been on quite a few too. So
neck and neck.
Maybe Jim.
Oh yeah, well no, Jim's been on a lot.
Jim's
more.
Jim and Lane are like the tier B. And then, everyone else is they're the fill-ins, and then you guys are, the guests.
Well, Jim's only on when he's here.
Yeah.
Lane is only on when we see him pop over, and we're like, Lane's here.
Toby's gone for a couple weeks on vacation. Bryce is on kid duty for a few weeks here. I think that Guardians episode.
He has to earn points
yeah.
life to be able to come back to the show.
To be able to come back on, so... but don't worry, they'll be back soon, and especially for Toby, I want to hear. He's trying to get into the last few days of Doctor Who
the Doctor Who experience. Yeah.
So hopefully he gets to go and do that. I'd love to hear.
He is going across the pond.
Yeah. He's in New York right now, and then he's going over to UK. We do have some stuff to talk about this week. We got the April 2017 sales charts. If you are fairly new to this podcast, because we've had a lot of new listeners recently, I would like to break down...
new listeners.
Yeah, we'd like to break down the top 10 selling comics every month through Diamond Comics. That's to American comic shops. Goes through Comic-Con is a website that really is really good dealing with sales charts for numbers. This is a very special month for that. We were going to talk about this last week, but we had our Guardians of the Galaxy episode, so if you want to hear our thoughts on Guardians too, go watch that. I did get a chance to see Guardians again.
Listen to that.
Watch that, listen to that. You can watch it. You'll just be staring at a blank screen. I did get to go see Guardians again. My opinion has not changed. So there you go. And Leanne saw it too. She didn't really like it either.
Yeah.
So
I figured if you didn't like it, Leanne really didn't like it.
I mean, there are times where we're pretty even on our opinions, and then there are times where we're just like, she hates Batman v Superman. I mean, she absolutely hates it.
Oh,
so.
She has such good taste.
Yeah, well, except in men, right?
Except in a husband, but you know.
So go listen to that. But if you want to hear about us talk about our sales charts, I don't know. Keep listening right now. So this is a very special sales chart. We'll talk about that why in a bit, but you guys may already know the top 10 list by now. I'm talking to you guys here on the podcast.
Yeah.
But because of the news it made. But let's go through this anyway. Julian, let's start with you because you're not here. I'll give you a chance. Why don't you give me a title you think's the top 10 comic seller to the United States direct market comic book shops?
It just sounds like
estimates
time now.
For there's 9,000 asterisks to these things, so I have to make sure it's right. Julie, why don't you give me a book?
Despite the Tumblr outrage, Secret Empire 0?
Not only is Secret Empire number 0 on this list, it is, with the world's biggest asterisks, the number one selling comic of April 2017. Secret Empire number 0 at 162,000 copies.
Look at that asterisk. It's like a -2, right?
We'll talk about that in a few.
I just find it funny that with all the controversy, I think it was the writer on that, was all excited that he had the number one book.
Well, I think this came before people really knew what the asterisk was. Who else has got to pick?
Well, we were going to let Julian go because apparently we know the list.
Well, do you?
Or most of the list.
Most of the list.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you give me a few?
Let's see.
And we'll see.
Okay.
Let's see. Was I would say Batman and Flash 21, was that this month?
Yes, Batman 21 and Flash 21 were both on this list. We're not going to give you those numbers. We'll talk about that shortly. Mm-hmm. But yes, Batman 21 and Flash 21 are both on this list, as well as Batman 20, which did sell 97,000 copies.
So we got 4.
Which is the number 6 comic, yeah.
Wait. So hold on. That's 4. How many of these are duplicates?
Well, why don't you start getting us a few more books, and I'll tell you when you filled out the top 10. I actually have. There are no more DC titles in this top 10. There are a number of Marvel books and one Image title.
X-Men?
Sure, which one? It doesn't matter. All of them. X-Men Gold, was 114,000 copies. That's X-Men Gold #1. That's the #3 book of the month. X-Men Blue #1 at 108,000 copies. That's the #4 title.
Weapon X hit there?
Weapon X #1, yes, at 68,000 copies. That's the #9 comic.
And then the Image book, wasn't that the Walking Dead one?
Walking Dead 166, yep, of course, at 68,000 copies. That's the #10 book. And of course, you have one more book. It's perennial. It's always on this list. You'll guess it's super easy.
Star Wars?
Star Wars #30, 70,000 copies. It's the #8 title. Now, this is a weird list. And you may be wondering yourself, it sounds like he only mentioned 8 titles. I thought this was a top 10 list. Well, for some reason, and I'll get into the reason why, Batman and Flash 21 were split between the base covers and variants and the lenticular edition, which is the special
awesome edition.
The
movie one.
The 3D kind of image version. And the reason these are split is because they have different prices. That is why they are split on the sales chart.
Okay.
If you go back to variant covers all the way back to X-Men #1, they were all the same price. Right? It is extremely rare to have a book of this caliber that has a different price. Then you'll get like those Lady Death variants for like $59.99, and you get like tarot shit, and but those will never make anything even resembling a top 300.
Well, the thing is, the
chart.
Secret Empire probably had a 1 in 100 book, but that's definitely not a.
Well,
but
that's under the shop's control what they're going to price it at.
Yeah, that book is priced $3.99 or $4.99 in the case of Secret Empire, right? So these books were sold. Batman, Flash 21 and 22 were sold to retailers at $3.99, and the standard covers as well as all the variant covers were all non-lenticular traditional covers, and they were $2.99. So if you add up Batman and Batman lenticular and the regular Batman, you get roughly 230,000 copies sold.
And how much is Secret Empire?
And Secret Empire was 162. Now, if you add a Flash 21 and the base and the lenticular, now Flash 21 was actually the 11th book of the month for the base cover. The lenticular was the #5 spot. The lenticular sold 107,000 copies. The base cover sold 67,000 copies, which is roughly 175,000 copies. That also outsold Secret Empire #0. So on an individual, singly priced book, Secret Empire was the #0. But if you take all the copies of Batman 21 and all the copies of Flash 21, they were the #1 and #2 books of the month. To give you an idea of how under-ordered I think these comics are, if my order was the base order, the average order across all comic book stores, they each would have sold over 1 million
and
copies.
that's your initial order.
My initial order.
Reordered a number of times.
Correct. I reordered nearly half my order again, and I'm not getting them for the 21s, it appears, but I am going to get them for the 22s. My initial orders, if I was the average, they both would have sold over 1 million copies. As is, they sold under 250,000 and roughly 200 to 250,000 copies. And I think that's why these books are so hard to find. And I think stores flub these orders so badly. I don't know. Julian, does the shiny lenticular covers, is that something you care about? Or,
Sometimes. These covers are really cool. And it's funny, Ryan, because my shop had, because you had talked a couple weeks ago about how everybody was out of the lenticulars. My shop had them in spades, a couple weeks after they came out. They were just sitting on the shelf, and I was like, Ryan was talking really big about this, so let me go ahead and pick them up. And I liked them a lot, so then I, asked my shop to get me Batman 22 and Flash 22, and there was some sort of weird ordering snafu, and none of Batman 22 came in to my local shop.
Not even the base covers?
Not even the base covers, nothing. But it's kind of funny because those, after I got my copies of 21 and the 221s, they're gone now, and there's no of the base covers either. I think it was just word of mouth at my shop where they kind of sat for a little bit, but then eventually they just all got picked clean.
That, or I have no clue what the online market is like on these.
I mean, triple cover on launch day. There were $10, $12 books launch day on eBay, so I'm sure someone went in and went, I'll take them all.
I mean, most of the time, when stuff like this happens, it's it's on an automatic $10, $15 book sometimes at stores.
When they sell out. Yeah.
No, not even before they sell out. Some stores just take them off and put them on for that.
Oh, you mean you're talking about like before they even are released? Yeah, that's shit. I mean, I think a lot of stores probably treated these as special covers. When I ordered, God, twice to 3 times my normal Batman orders. Man, actually, it was closer to 4. If you count both covers, close to 4 times my normal Batman orders, and we sold out on Wednesday. 8 times my normal, over 8 times my normal Flash orders we sold out on Wednesday, and the reorder I've got of 21 of the base cover for Batman and Flash, we've moved at least half of. The lenticular reorder we got of Batman 22, I've sold maybe 15-20% of what I've ordered. But those will just sell over time. Like I'm not worried.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of these selling. I normally we might talk about all of the Button and these comics today, but our shipment is running a tad late, so I can't even read Flash 22 yet. And I think we want to wait till we actually get some time under our belt, and I don't want to be a jerk like Bleeding Cool and spoil everything. So next week, if you're curious about the Button, we'll have me, Charlie, and Brock will have our big breakdown. I think Bryce and Toby are still going to be gone.
I reread those 3 issues thinking we were going to get the 4th one today.
Tomorrow, like a normal person. So
I don't want to be normal, though.
Does anyone else feel that? I mean, I'm loving the story, but does anybody else feel that there's no way that it can wrap up in this final 4th part? It just feels like there's too much going on for me.
Well, it's not supposed to wrap up.
Okay.
I mean, this is chapter 2. We'll talk about chapter 3 later in this episode. There's some news we want to talk about, but this is so. Rebirth was chapter 1. The Button is kind of chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
And the story will continue. Yeah, I mean, you can read this almost directly following.
You can.
I mean, you can. There is time has passed, but it picks up immediately after.
That being said, I do think it's sort of required reading to have an idea of what happened in Rebirth and even Flashpoint.
Yeah. I mean, Flashpoint goes to Rebirth, goes to this. These are very. Obviously, stuff happens between Flashpoint and Rebirth, but hey, it's my good friend Jeff who's going to come to the door to get his packages because for some reason, I'll wait till he actually enters the door so I can make fun of him on air. So this is great radio. I know you all love it. I'll say that again. Hey, it's my good friend Jeff who gets, for some reason, all his mail delivered here and then comes and picks it up while we're recording a podcast and then harasses me at 7 o'clock in the morning and wonders where his packages are and why UPS didn't deliver it yesterday.
I got a package for you.
Whoa,
All
Jeff has a package for me. Man, that's sexual assault. Okay, goodbye, Jeff.
Okay, have a good night.
I was like, don't come at 7 o'clock. We're recording a podcast. He's like, I'm going to come get my stuff. I'm like, why don't you just get this delivered to your own house? If you listen to the Geek Box, you ever hear me and Ryan Scott talk about our crazy friend Jeff? That's him. You just heard him. He'll hate that he's on the internet. He's one of those weird people that doesn't like the internet a lot.
You're going to make sure to tell him, right?
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, I'll tell him make sure to listen, and then he'll never listen to it. So, yeah, that is our top 10 comics or top 8 comics. If you want to go down the list, All-Star Batman would have been number 9 at 67,000 copies, and Star Wars Rogue One, the adaptation number 1 at 64,000 copies would have been the number 10 spot, which are pretty low numbers for top 10 comics.
Well, Marvel's numbers overall are really low.
Less this month. So this has the second issue of X-Men Gold, the second issue of X-Men Blue. I mean, we got Ben Reilly, we got...
No, I'm saying like line-wide, like a lot of their titles are selling a lot less, but they did have some big titles that came out that people are picking up.
Well, they definitely have more titles in the top like 50 than they've had in a while. But think about this. And I mean, we went big on Gold and Blue, and they sold pretty well, right? But I mean, these are selling a fraction of what they would have sold years ago. X-Men Gold only sold 114,000 copies. That's not a lot. That's all variants included. That's really not a lot.
Yeah, especially since you would assume that one would get a good amount of variant.
Well, you look at Gold number 2, sold 62,000 copies. So roughly, 55-60%, right? I mean, it's selling that's not great.
No, that's
but at least it's a good book.
I've liked it. I've liked both of them. I think they're, like I said, of some of the Rebirth titles, they're not setting the world on fire, but I think they're enjoyable titles.
Yeah.
Julian, have you checked out any of the new X-Men stuff?
Yeah, I didn't get to pick up the #1 issues because I just my store just like completely blew out on them. But
Sure.
I've picked up I think like 2 and 3 on both Blue and Gold, and I like them. They feel more like the X-Men that I want, meaning that they don't seem like a bunch of dicks that are just trying to like stir up trouble. But they're not good enough to me to want to commit to 2 bi-monthly books. Like I might trade weight on. I liked Blue more than Gold. Because I'm more of a classic team fan.
Sure.
But
he likes that beast magic.
That's weird. Like that.
Yeah.
When they described him as like an aspiring mystic, I was like, all right, everybody's an aspiring mystic in the Marvel universe all of a sudden.
Only if they're written by Colin Bunn.
I kind of wonder if they're very quickly. I guess we could spoil too. It's not a huge shock. You read #2 yet?
Yes.
Okay. So that last page of #2, where you kind of find out what Magneto's up to, he wants to send him back. I kind of wonder if this book may not be as long-term as we think, because we know they're going to be doing their renumbering and the legacy numbering stuff.
But that, like, okay, so at the end of that, when I read it, I was confused because they can't go back. Because in All New X-Men, when it ended, they went...
Pretend that All New X-Men never happened. Ignore it. Ignore it.
There's no way.
It never happened.
You can ever pretend.
You just say it never happened.
That the
and you send them back.
X-Men dance party didn't ever happen. I know Bryce.
Marvel doesn't reboot or anything like that. They just
forget
selective memory events in comics.
Fucking amnesia.
No, we got a couple other Marvel #1s that sold. I mean, Weapon X #2 sold 42,000 copies. I mean, that's a good seller for us. That is a low number. But you have Royals #1 sold 40,000 copies, the number 42 book of the month. Now, this is one that I know got a lot of press over the weekend. Black Panther and the Crew #1 sold 35,000 copies, the number 57 comic. That's all variants included. And as of issue #2, the book has been canceled. It's going to run out its full 6 issues, but they have canceled the book with the sales of issue #2. And I'm telling you, people got all butthurt over this, but I'm telling you, #2 will probably, it might scrape the top 100, but it barely, if it is. It's going to be a very poor, by #2, we're already down the single issue sales. #1 sold terribly. No one signed up for it. And, whether you like it or not, this book is not, it's dead. And another dead book, which is unfortunate because the art was gorgeous, the writing was kind of garbage, though, was Nick Fury #1. Again, #1, tons of variant covers, 31,000 copies, the number 68 comic of the month. These would have been top 10 books a year ago, maybe even. This is just shows you just how badly this stuff has fallen off at Marvel, and man, we need that legacy to come back or to come, because these sales have to come back. And here's the thing: we're actually doing pretty good with these books. We're basically selling out of Weapon X. I bumped my numbers on them. I cut my numbers on X-Men Blue and Gold to probably double what I was doing of Uncanny, and they were doing maybe double, maybe triple. But that definitely was down for #1, and I bumped my numbers way back up again. We're selling these books. They're selling really well. My Venom sales, again, was single digit. They bring back Eddie Brock. I'm selling 20 copies, right? Not huge, but hey, that's
a hell of a lot better than it was.
16 more than I was selling, right? But then they launched that new Guardians comic, and man, I sold less copies of #1 than I did of the final Bendis issue. And that final Bendis issue, again, was scraping the bottom of the barrel sales-wise. I don't know. I mean, they've really got to turn something around. The X-Men are hope. I have hope here with the X-Men titles. But Nick Fury, Crew, the all-new Guardians.
Black Bolt tanked.
What's that?
Black Bolt tanked.
We did okay with #1. But who's going to come back for number 2. Jean Grey was a surprise hit. We sold a lot more copies of Jean Grey than I thought. I went pretty big, and we're going to sell out. That actually made me almost double my Iceman orders because I was not expecting those to do very well, but Jean Grey did very well. So, yeah, I'll be curious long-term how these books do. Julian.
Yes, sir.
You were at a comic convention.
You didn't go over like percentages and stuff.
It doesn't matter. Does anyone care?
The new listeners, man.
Okay, I'll do this official. Julian, give me a minute.
I love the sales stuff. So
me too. I just figured we rambled on enough. All right, let me get back in Comic-Con.
I love it when I do that to him.
For being
he
a
completely
great
forgets to do it, and then he's going on to the next thing, and I'm like, nope, put on the brakes, pal.
Okay, we're almost there. Okay, if you take the top 300 comic books sold to direct market comic shops in North America in April 2017, they sold 6.52 million copies.
Was that up from last or from?
That's minus 3% from same month previous year.
What about for March?
If you come up here, that is does not say that here. Okay. It doesn't tell me. They don't really do that. They tend to do month to month for previous year. So if you want to take a look at the actual top 300 comics, if you go to the overall share, so this is all comic books sold, new, old, reorders, trades, back issues, whatever. Marvel was 38.23%. This is units sold. DC was 34.34%. Image was 9.86%. So right about 10%. Image is kind of sweet spot. Dark Horse is 3.06. IDW is 2.95. And then it goes down from there. And Marvel and DC is sticking pretty close to that 70% of the market. That's been they've been higher, they've been lower, but that's pretty typical. If you go comics in the top 300, Marvel has 92, DC has 77, Image has 38, IDW has 19. Which actually, IDW publishes a lot more than 19 comics, so that's a lot of IDW books not in the top 300. Which I wonder if they're okay with that. Share of units in the top 300.
What would be IDW's big books these days?
Crossovers?
Is it still Transformers? Because that's still Transformers stuff.
I mean, not really. I don't know that they don't really have a killer. They have a lot of little stuff and a lot of licensed stuff, but they haven't had a killer book in a while. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm just curious because, I mean, obviously I can think of some of the partnerships they've done with like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman and that stuff, but...
Well, IDW's number one book of the month, let me get all the way back up to it. Where are you? Does this count? Oh, no, there we are. No. Let's try that again. Star Trek Green Lantern, number 5 at number 158. That is IDW's top-selling comic. So, yeah.
Because they also have the Planet of the Apes crossover right now.
That's Boom.
Lantern.
That's Boom.
That's Boom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you do go to the top 300 comics, let me go back to that list. Sorry, I'm using Brock's laptop here. My fingers are not, keys are in different positions.
Yeah, whatever. It's in the same spot.
Units in the top 300. Marvel is 42.25% of all comics sold to comic shops in the top 300 sales. DC's 38.09%. Image is 8.38%. Dark Horse actually beating out IDW. I bet that's because of American Gods.
Yeah.
Probably getting a nice bump from that. And, of course, dollar share, Marvel at 44.94% and DC at 38.88%, Image at 8.32%. Image now officially, a while ago, bumped all their books to $3.99. There was a couple of stragglers to $3.50, but everything's at $3.99 now. So I think Image is seeing a little better dollar share there than normal. So, yeah, that's your sales charts for April. May will be very similar. I'm assuming Flash and Batman will take up 4 of the top 10 spots, and Secret Empire, and I don't know what else. That's probably it. Because it'll be Secret Empire 1, 2, Batman 22 twice, Flash 22 twice.
Yeah. Do like the True Believer books and that stuff count towards units sold?
Say that again?
Do the True Believers books count toward units sold?
Yeah. Those tend to do pretty well. And Marvel has actually changed. For people that don't know what those are, Marvel's in a series, although they've kind of doubled down on it recently, of $1 reprint issues of classic material, sometimes more modern, but generally classic material. And they're I didn't realize this. They're apparently kind of one print only. So that will change how I order them going forward, because when they reprint Amazing Fantasy 15 and Amazing Spider-Man #1 soon for the new Spider-Man movie, I will order a lot of those because we will sell those forever. I didn't realize these are one prints, so we sold out of a good chunk of the X-Men ones that I got in.
Well, they didn't need to reprint X-Men #1 from 92.
That's why I didn't order too many of those, right?
Because you can pretty much get it in any shop in the dollar bin.
Yeah, First Appearance of Cable, that's worth ordering a good stack of, right?
First Appearance of like Deadpool. That's
totally. Yeah, we sold through tons of those. But I didn't realize they were one printing only. So yeah, that will again. They're doing like the first Dan Slott issue of Spider-Man. Nothing against Dan Slott, but I mean, I'm not going to sell those. But Amazing Fantasy 15, I can sell some reprints of that.
And that's why I was wondering if they counted towards the units sold, just because
they should.
I would assume
they're not 25 cents.
I think anything. I think dollar and up they count.
Yeah.
I believe.
No, I was just curious, just because I would hope those would do a significant job of pushing number of units.
But they don't. I mean, the True Believer stuff is never a top seller. They're always in the charts. They're never that high.
Well, I would assume they wouldn't be from a top seller from dollar amount, but
no, the sales charts are unit sales, and no, I don't think they sell that. I think a lot of shops don't order them.
That's a little weird to me. I would expect, like you, certain books you would why wouldn't you go double digits on something like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I held off on a lot of the True Believers because they were reprinting like more recent stuff, and I thought that was kind of dumb, and so I didn't order them for a long time. But when they started doing classic stuff, I was like, this is I can sell. So I would love to see DC do a similar program. Doesn't seem likely, but we'll see. So, Julian.
Yes.
I'll get back to you.
Now you can go back.
Yeah. You went to a comic convention.
Yes.
Where'd you go?
It was Comicpalooza in Houston, which is, I would say it's a middle tier Comic Con. I went there 2 years ago, and it was kind of sparse. And this year was definitely quite a bit bigger, but from what I understand, the city of Houston is now involved in running the con, and
that's cool.
Not so much, apparently. Like, a lot of the people who are like who have booths and stuff like that were not pleased. I went with my friend John Golson, who, if you listen to me on Nerds Without Pants, you definitely know him. If you're into comic books, you might know him because he's done a pretty successful podcast and critique and stuff like that over the years. But he kind of knows everybody, and it's really weird to go to cons with him because he just knows a bunch of people. And so I kind of got the down and dirty about it. And they weren't too happy with like placement. Why? And like it was like a lot of like miscommunication with who's going to be where and like what the schedule is. Like, apparently they switched up a bunch of the panels right at the last minute. Nobody knew where their booth was. Like, even like big people like J.M. DeMatteis and Kevin Maguire, like, just they couldn't find their tables and just weird stuff like that. John's friends with C. Robert Cargill, the co-writer of the Doctor Strange movie, and I'll get to that in a second. But he was in a really weird place for autographs. Like, it was very easy to completely miss him if you just didn't happen to be walking by his table, because he was on the back end of where all of the autographs were being done, and so a lot of people didn't even know anything was over there because there didn't used to be anything over there. So just weird things like that seem to be rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. But it was a fun show. Nice size, not too crazy. Did a little bit of light shopping. Bryce will be happy because I was able to pick up like the entire Bendis Bachelot Uncanny X-Men run in trade form for like $5 a pop. So
nice.
I can finally find out how they screwed up my favorite X-Man, Cyclops.
It's funny you mentioned the placement there. There's a local con that it's now in its second year here in San Jose called Silicon Valley Comic Con. It's the largest air quotes of all time, run by Steve Wozniak and Stan Lee. They have nothing to do with it.
Right.
They get paid their money for having their name on the front of it and recorded an ad, and that's the extent of their involvement. The first year they did it, it was a madhouse, and they had it in like kind of a smaller area than they probably should have. This year, they spread it out apparently between like multiple hotels, and people had multiple levels, and people had no idea where stuff was. So like Artist Alley and a bunch of people were stuck in this dead area where people literally did not know there was booths there.
They had to like make announcements.
Yeah, and so like you go from having this like crush of tens of thousands or 10,000 people jammed in an area that fits 5,000 to having 10,000 people in an area that fits 100,000, and so it feels like there's no one there, right?
You know, I've always wondered what the sweet spot is for con organizers to actually understand what they need to do at a con. Because, like, first-year cons always tend to have the stupidest issues come up. But most of the ones that have had the same organizers for a number of years in the same location tend to get it down just smooth sailing at some point.
There was
still can't get load-ins right.
There was one that I went to in San Antonio 2 years ago, and it was a clusterfuck, and it was actually a really rough time for me. It was the week that my mom got killed in a car accident, and I had paid $300 to meet Frank Welker and Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime and Megatron voices, and it was the day of my mother's memorial service, and I was like, you know, my mom took me to see Transformers the movie, like, I feel like I need to go do this, and so I went with my girlfriend, and we got in line, and literally the line did not move the entire day. Like, they were running a little late, but even then, once they got there, like, nothing moved, and, like, the organization was terrible, and eventually I was like, we have to go, we're gonna miss the memorial, and so I just had to leave, you know, $300 lighter, and no meet and greet or anything like that. I was not a happy camper that day. And also the con itself is like super tiny. Like we saw everything in about 20 minutes because there just wasn't anything to see. So it was just like, I will never go back. And there were people in the line who were like, yeah, we came here last year and it was almost exactly like this. And it's like, no, that's not acceptable at all. This was
that's
much
terrible.
better than that.
Yeah. So you let me know. You had get to do some cool stuff. So why don't you give us a little story here.
Caught a couple panels. Well, 3 to be exact. The first one was the Doctor Strange panel it was C. Robert Cargill. He was talking about Doctor Strange, and he also wrote Sinister, the movie, and he also does books and everything. But I actually thought of you, Ryan, because he was talking about the writing process for Doctor Strange, and he really enjoyed it. Like, he had nothing bad to say about the process or anything like that, but he did say that the Marvel execs are very hands-on, which, you know, we kind of all knew that. But he said that they're rarely about rewriting or taking things away. They call it plussing. Like, how can we plus this? How can we make this more interesting? How can we add on the scene?
That's a Disney term.
Well, okay, and here we go, because one of the first things that Cargill said was, how can we plus humor into this? How can we add some more humor into it? So I thought of you because I was like, you know, I bet this Doctor Strange original script was like a lot more serious and dark, and then it got Marvelified.
Like it. Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah. And
this whole idea of plussing, it's a Disney term. So when they have like a ride, they're like, oh, how do we plus this? And then they add an animatronic to it, so it makes it a little bigger, a little better, a little more interesting. They have a scene in a movie. They're like, how do we plus this? They make it something a little bigger, a little better. You know, they're kind of like, here, we finished it. That's now the first draft. Now what do we do? And I totally can understand that idea going to the Marvel movies. I think they plussed it a little too much on the comedy in the last few. I hope they pull back from that.
Yeah. He did say that their original script had Nightmare as the villain.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, and he said he's still, like, he doesn't know if he's going to be working on the sequel, but he said that if he gets a chance to, like, that's definitely what he would like to see for Doctor Strange moving forward. And apparently, like, their original script with Nightmare, like, Marvel loved it, but they said, this is just a little bit too weird, like, right out the gate. Like, you know, we're not sure if this is gonna play too well. And even the movie that was released, they weren't as confident as some of their other ones. They were like, this might be going a little bit too far. People might not be on board with this, but of course, everybody seemed to really enjoy it, so...
You gotta take Doctor Strange as far as you can. That's the character,
right? And I think now that the first one was successful, they can do that.
Right.
And then the last little bit of tidbit for the Doctor Strange thing was, I don't know if you guys knew this. This was news to me, but he said that the actors, the way their contracts are done, they're basically on call, but they can only be on call for one appearance a year. and that gives them time to spend time with their families, or they can line up other projects. They're not on the hook the entire year. But he said with that being the way it is, and Doctor Strange appearing in Ragnarok this year, and then Avengers next year, and then the other Avengers after that, basically there's not going to be a room for a new Doctor Strange movie until at least 2020, 2021. So I thought that was kind of interesting. When you think about some of these cameos are so small, but I guess that still counts, it's kind of interesting.
So when you say on call, it's for an actual like on-screen movie appearance. That doesn't count any of the sort of on call to appear at Comic-Con or various promotional. Right.
This is specifically for the like film appearances, because I think he said that Benedict Cumberbatch had signed on for like 6 appearances. So of course that means that 4 of them are already spoken for at this point that we know of.
Right.
So I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Is Doctor Strange in Ragnarok? Like, I hear people talk about that. Is that something Marvel?
At the end of the movie?
Well, no. Yeah, at the end of the Doctor Strange movie, they have the scene with Thor where he says he'll help him.
I kind of got the feeling that was it.
No, he's going to be in Ragnarok. That was to show that he was going to be in Ragnarok.
Okay.
Yeah, at least a small part. I know that Hemsworth had shown like shots from the set of him holding the business card for Doctor Strange that I guess Thor gets his hand on that leads him to the Sanctum. So
nice.
So there's that. So you guys are going to kill me for this, but I'm not familiar with DeMatteis and Kevin Maguire, their Justice League run and stuff, but my friend John is a huge fan, so we went to their 30th anniversary panel for that
so
run.
So lucky.
Yeah, it was a great panel. Like, I came out of that saying I need to read these. Like, and John has them, so I'm going to borrow them. What's that?
Well,
the Justice League International stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. You were lucky because they just announced the first of, I believe, 2 Justice League International omnibuses.
Yes.
That's what they were saying, yeah.
I'm aware of these omnibuses.
So, yes. This is...
As long as they don't cancel them.
Well, yeah. I am beyond excited for this. So, yeah, this is easily one of my favorite comic series of all time. So funny, so well done. Holds up today. The comedy totally holds up. But, people seem to misunderstand. The whole book isn't just like jokes. There is a lot of serious stuff, especially the early stuff. But there's still a lot of serious stuff thrown throughout it. It is a fantastic series.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they were getting at, is that they didn't set out to make a comedy book, and it just kind of naturally happened. But also, he said that one of the great things about that was that you could throw in those jokes, but then come around and just blindside the audience with like a really serious arc and have that stick. And basically, like, since then, like when they've pitched books to DC and they said, well, we don't want this to be a joke book, and they're like, okay, well, fine. But they said that it always got to the point that they wanted it to be anyway, because that's just kind of the way that they work now. So yeah, it was a fun panel. I found it interesting the way that, and I guess you have to be this way, but when you're in charge of characters for a really long period of time and you kind of make them your own and you're credited with making them your own, and then just having to let them go and turn them over to the next generation and be fine with that, like not try to hold it as precious, because at the end of the day, they aren't your characters. They didn't belong to you in the first place. And they're very pragmatic about that. They don't really look back wistfully at that time. It's more of just, yeah, we did some really good work. We're happy with it. But it was 30 years ago. We're good.
Well, if you want to talk about some of the worst follow-up work, obviously Chuck Austin taking over for Grant Morrison on New X-Men will forever remain my high bar. But
that's for you, Bryce.
The people that took over, that should be for everyone. The creative teams after Giffen DeMatteis left Justice League, oof, those books got real bad. Oh, man, such a legendary run just replaced with generic garbage. But they've come back. They've done a few things. They've done a few miniseries after with the same characters, and that I can't believe it's not the Justice League is one of the funniest.
They're not credited with Booster Gold armor, so I think they're doing okay.
Yeah. They were involved in that. But man, I can't believe it's not the Justice League. It was like their modern miniseries from maybe a decade ago at this point. Oh boy, so funny, so funny. Yeah. I love that stuff. That's awesome. I totally would love to go see those guys at a panel.
Yeah, they were great, and like I said, my friend John knows everybody. He's worked with them on panels before and stuff like that, so
cool.
He's real comfortable with them, and so got to talk with both of them after the panels and stuff, and just real nice guys, real easygoing.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I went to the Defenders. Well, we went to the Defenders panel, which was odd that it was only Finn Jones and Mike Coulter and not Charlie Cox, because he was there as well.
Okay,
but it was funny. It was obviously, if you don't know, Finn Jones is Iron Fist. Mike Coulter is Luke Cage. Their chemistry on that stage was incredible. Like, they were just riffing off of each other and playing and just having a grand old time. And like, John and I were like, this is so good, this needs to be the show. But it's not going to be the show. Like, there's no way that this is going to come to that, to the Defenders. And sure enough, at one point, Finn Jones said, well, yeah, like, our relationship, this is like, it's kind of a slow burn the way that we get there and everything. And John just looked at me and rolled his eyes. He was like, it doesn't need to be a slow burn, guys. Like, Luke Cage and Iron Fist were the slowest of burns. We don't need to do that again.
Yeah. Are they confirmed it's only 6 episodes, right?
8 episodes.
8 episodes, okay.
And apparently it only takes place over the course of like a couple days.
That's cool.
So I feel like it should feel like it's moving at a really good clip, but after the back half of Luke Cage and after all of Iron Fist, I have to be proven wrong.
8 episodes feels
right.
That feels like a good number for them.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if I think even though I like Jessica Jones a whole lot, you could probably take 5 episodes of fat out of all these shows, and they'd be much tighter.
Definitely, easily.
And then they could do 3 shows a year instead of 2.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, Finn Jones did say that Marvel is way tougher with security than the Game of Thrones people, which I found interesting. Like he basically, I mean, they had to be very cagey as to what they could say on this panel, and also they're both really, like, obviously they couldn't say that it's coming, but they really want to do a Heroes for Hire. It was like one of the first things they brought up, and of course the audience was really into that idea. So
that'd be great.
They seem to really enjoy playing these characters.
Paladin.
And also Finn Jones did say that his big wish is for Iron Fist to have a costume. So I'm thinking that might confirm that Iron Fist still isn't in a costume by the end of this miniseries, but I guess season 2, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I've never seen it. You would have seen that all over the place. I never finished it. Defenders. I mean, I'll definitely watch Defenders, obviously. Iron Fist, man, I look at it on my TV, I look at it on my Netflix, and I'm like, not tonight, next time.
Yeah,
I kind of figure it's going to take right before Defenders launches for me to go, okay, fine, I will go finish
Here's my 8-hour Iron Fist marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't agree with Toby, because he was saying how it gets better as the series goes on, and I think it gets worse.
Oh, really?
I mean,
So you're the 2 people I know that finished it.
Yeah, I hate myself,
no,
apparently.
I know.
His character is so stupid in that show. So unbelievably stupid.
I mean, it's a fan panel, so I'm sure no one was bogging him, but, like, did anyone say anything about, like, the kind of the reaction to Iron Fist or the whitewashing, or whether they're going to change anything going forward, or did they just, no one mentioned it?
Interestingly, they didn't take questions from the audience.
There you go. Okay.
And now, Mike Coulter did say that he takes the criticisms to heart, and he tries to move it up to the showrunners.
Okay.
So that was
That's
good.
fair.
But
obviously,
also,
they're not plussing anything on those shows.
Yeah.
they're plussing the run times.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The funny thing is, though, apparently he's like totally like zero presence on social media. So I guess he's just reading like opinions online or something, or people are forwarding him stuff to his email and stuff like that. So,
oh man, if I was famous or I was an actor, or I would never use social media. Never. Like, if you're I love the people that do, but God, especially the last few months, what a vile place the internet can be. So yeah, no, if you've got real work to do, don't go on the internet. It's terrible. Everyone on there is a moron, all of us included.
Or even just the volume of it. Like like I said, John, he's a film critic also, and he had just tweeted something innocently about Bahubali 2. It's an Indian film.
Right.
He ended up trending in India, and he said, I had to mute that tweet. Like, it was getting insane. Like, it was just thousands and thousands of impressions. Yeah.
Well, there's a huge Indian population in this area. That's been a big movie over here. Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about it, but it's been a big movie in this area.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying, is that it did better than The Circle, which is like this big American movie with Tom Hanks, and like it trounced it, and that was the basis of his tweet, and it blew up in India.
Wow.
That's funny. Funny how the internet works. But
that's cool.
That's about it for the con. A lot of fun. I think even though I haven't been to very many conventions, that was like my fourth one. I see like a really quick diminishing returns because I'm not a cosplayer.
I think you've been to more conventions than I have.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Like, they kind of all got the same merchandise, and I'm not an autograph hound, so I'm not doing that thing. And other than the unique panels, there's not really a ton there that I'm like, jonesing to go do.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not just me that, like, every single con that comes to the area, I always get asked by various people, are you going to go to the con? And I'm like, maybe if that weekend I happen to go, hey, I want to go to this con.
Yeah.
Well, with me, again, I've been going to cons since I was a kid. I've been, 100 plus at least. I wouldn't say hundreds. I wouldn't say 1,000 or anything like that. But I've been to a fair number of cons in my time. Everything from anime cons to mostly Comic Cons, but gaming stuff. And I went to like X-Files convention. I've been to like all sorts of cons.
You've been to a Star Trek convention, haven't you?
I've never been to a legit Star Trek convention. I've been to Star Trek heavy, like science fiction cons. The reason for the Star Trek conventions I never went is they're fucking expensive as hell. Yeah. And the only thing to do there,
just ask our friend Sash to take you.
Yeah.
He'll take you.
But no, what you're saying I think is true, because the cons in the 80s and 90s, the reason I love the 90s and early 2000s, I should say, because I never went to a con in the 80s officially. It wasn't like really early 90s. You're there to buy back issues. You're there to meet comic creators. You're there to see what's around. Nowadays, everything's available on the internet. With me personally, I'm at the store all the time, so it's not like this is special to me. It's the same shit I see all the time. Everything's overpriced. The price to get into conventions is astronomical these days. So I have taken a different approach to conventions over the last couple of years. I found very little reason to go to traditional comic conventions, or even the anime con that's around here that I like to go to. I've kind of held off the last few years. I still like going to really small conventions. There's a little dirt flea market toy show that happens a couple times here. And that's actually could be fun because there's wicked weird stuff there. And Leanne's going to have a booth there this weekend. So if you want to go buy some art, she's going to be at the San Jose Toy Show this year, or this weekend. So that I don't mind, because it's such a weird small convention. But even that's getting bigger for this weird little con. But then I have become interested more in the celebrity cons, because you're there for one reason only, and that's to get autographs, and that's to do the celebrity meet and greet stuff. But when Wizard World came through, and it's like a couple random people, like, I didn't care. When
Heroes and Villains.
The Heroes and Villains is different. When Silicon Valley came around, I'm like, well, it's like the entire cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation, except for Picard. Okay, that might be just a little too many big people to do all at one go. And that's like the Star Trek conventions are like that, where it's like, well, if I'm doing this, I'm in like a couple grand, because holy crap, there's so many people here.
Yeah. And the price for the celebrity stuff is
ridiculous,
continuing to creep up. It's not getting...
It's not even creeping. It's just straight up skyrocketing up. Yeah. And Heroes and Villains, and again, we talk about this con all the time, but this is why I love this convention so much. It's a real big amount of celebrities, but it's for very specific things. So you're either going to like it or not like it. There's no like in between. Mm-hmm. And their prices are very reasonable. The selfie with an autograph for $60 is like, that's the best deal in the industry right now. You'll never see a price that low anywhere else. That is ridiculously cheap for us, kind of big deal TV celebrities, right?
The thing I find interesting, I'm not sure if you've found this at all either, but the price per con can be different for the same person.
What do you mean?
I've looked at like people appearing at like the Phoenix Comic Con that I know were also at like a local con or up at Emerald City, and their price for autographs and stuff will be different. Based on.
Yeah, because if you have 100,000 people attending your convention or 4,000 people, you're going to charge more at the big convention because you're going to be able to get it. I think the Heroes and Villain ones may be cheaper simply because they realize they're not Comic-Con, they're not one of these big established conventions, so they're not going to get quite the crowd that these big ones would. Yeah. And it means that their lines never stop either. So they're always working and you know, I appreciate that. You know, if Stephen Amell's $150 for an autograph next time I see him, it's like, well, no, thank you. But $40, yeah, it's not bad. You know, it's $40 is expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it's. I mean, people 15 years ago that are obviously bigger celebrities than Stephen Amell, but like we're charging $150 for an autograph. They're probably $200-300 now, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, the thing I find kind of interesting, especially around my experience at a lot of these cons, is they bring out a good amount of people who are very current sort of stars, and then they bring out a fair amount of people who just have a good amount of stuff they've done in the past.
Yeah.
And there's always an interesting mix between sort of like, if you go to the celebrity area, it's like, that person has a line that will never end, and I accept it will never end.
Yeah.
And this person I can walk up to right now,
right.
they have like two people in line right now.
Yeah, and even the small people, you know, at Heroes and Villains, they kept having people there, right?
Yeah.
There was always 2 or 3 people in line.
Exactly.
Stephen Amell always just had 150 or 200. So but yeah, cons can be fun, but yeah, I feel like we're already starting to see some of these conventions go away very quickly because there's not that many people out there that can run them successfully.
Yeah.
But the big cons are getting bigger and bigger, and there has to be sort of a cap to this. It's going to happen.
Well, the problem I see with all the smaller cons, and this is when I was a more heavily going into cons and that kind of stuff, I started to follow this a little bit because the small cons have to be really, really careful, because if you burn the bridge with certain artist or talent, that will kill your con faster than anything else, because the second the previous people won't vouch for you, you're not going to be able to get anybody anymore. So I think a lot of people bite off more than they're ready for and try and make a bigger con right out of the gate, and then it backfires on them and it just kind of kills their con right out of the gate. That's one of the things that I like about Gallifrey 1 when I went there, is they have everything down and they kind of have already self-limited it, meaning that, yes, if they were willing to move to a bigger venue, they could get bigger people and more people and all that. But at the same time, you can kind of tell that they've been at the same place forever. They kind of have all their connections made. They're kind of comfortable putting on a great con every single time. They're not looking to turn it into anything bigger.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Great for the people that can go.
I need to go to a con. I haven't been to one in a while.
I find, at least for myself, I have more interest in traveling for cons than going to the cons here now.
Yeah. Well, I need to go with you once to Emerald.
Oh, yeah. Emerald City's a great con. I've considered doing like Phoenix and stuff just because I have a lot of family in that area. And it's just one of those things where the whole diminishing returns thing, I kind of feel like it's huge when you're dealing with any of your local cons, because it will have all the same people plus 1 or 2 people every year.
Right.
And it basically means if I'm going to those cons, I'm typically going for those plus 1 or 2 people.
Yeah. Brock, I don't know what the hell's up with your stupid... I just lost all my notes for the show. Awesome. Oh, no, there it is. You have a weird desktop. It keeps changing pictures.
Yeah.
Almost the naked girls in comic book t-shirts.
Yeah, baby. I'm single, motherfucker.
We're going to talk about our last big story.
I need some dates.
We're going to talk about our last big story for the week. And oh boy, it's a big one. And we'll get to some questions. Now, Julian, you said you hadn't heard about this, so I'm going to give you some info.
So our big story this week
comes at the 1 hour mark. Like I said, short episode this week, Brock.
You fucking jinxed it. Like you jinxed the shipment last night.
So.
And then he goes and jinxed the lenticular covers today.
while I was off the internet for 8 hours, while I was at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California this past week on Sunday, you can hear all that about the Geek Box episode that went up this morning. My favorite comic, not called Mr. Miracle by Tom King, coming out this year, was officially announced. And this was, of course, before Flash 22 was leaked, which happened as expected Monday and today. So DC definitely wanted to get out ahead of this. They've officially announced that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
Jeff Johns officially announced
Jeff Johns officially announced this. Correct. He announced this himself. Him and Gary Frank are doing at least 6-issue, possibly 13-issue. We don't know. Somewhere in that range, he said. Miniseries for DC called Doomsday Clock.
Or DC.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. He gave this to the Sci-Fi Wire, which is one of Warner Brothers news channels here. They had 12 things about the comic. We will only tell you about 10 of them.
Because the last two spoil.
Yeah. The image that goes along with this is the Watchmen Doomsday Clock, except at the very end it's a Superman symbol instead of the top of the clock. So this is going to start in November. Like I said, it is at least 6 issues long, which if it is 6 issues long, that will come out, the final issue will come out April of 2018, which would be just shy of the 2-year anniversary of Rebirth.
6 months? They're once a month?
I think so. Yeah.
So November.
Yeah. April. Yeah.
I was going to say, but I wouldn't expect any faster than that from Gary Frank.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, if he's been working on it, we don't know.
Well, I'm not saying
in the article
he hasn't already got some.
In the article, they mentioned things are done because they had. Sorry, Charlie. They had finished Earth 2 Batman Volume 3.
Yeah, that's already finished. Yeah,
that's finished. So this was they've been working on this since they've wrapped up with that. But yeah, Gary Frank. Oh, his art's awesome.
Oh yeah. So there is no specific spoilers for Flash 22 in here. This just comes from the article, so I will not mention the last 2 spoilers, which I read, and I don't even find them really spoilery, but whatever. So I'll go through each part, and I'll kind of give you his rundown here of what's going on. So this is the Watchmen characters coming into the DC universe, full stop. Like, that's now all. It's not even fake anymore. It's not even a guess anymore. It's official. So the first one they said is that this is not a Watchmen sequel. He says, this is a Dr. Manhattan and Superman story, but it is influence. How does Watchmen influence DC? It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not trying to continue the story from Watchmen, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
The second part here is this is a standalone story. Now, this is a direct quote from Jeff Johns, and I'm going to have a few of these as we go on. There are no crossovers, no watered-down one-shots or miniseries on top of this one. It's a standalone story. There is only Doomsday Clock. Might be a little jab at Marvel there, I think. And that's incredible. That's fucking ballsy and incredible, and I love it. I mean, I'm sure there'll be 19,000 variants covers, but, man...
I want you to have a variant cover.
Maybe I will.
Oh, he will. If there's a store one for Doomsday Clock #1.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna have it.
I'll do it. He says it only focuses on a handful of characters, although it does go through the whole history of DC. The focus is on Superman and Dr. Manhattan. The origin of the story is, of course, Rebirth. They've been working on this for a while. While they knew kind of where they wanted to go, according to Jeff Johns, it wasn't until the election and post-election that they had the complete story. Now, this is an interesting quote from Jeff Johns. He says, "It is about much more than the American president or the reactions to him. That is low-hanging fruit to me. It goes bigger, deeper. It is about the world and the attitude of people. I feel like there are extremes now everywhere, extremes on all sides. There is no more olive branch. It doesn't exist." And I mean, he continues, which, yeah, I mean, totally, right? And man, a character like Superman is that rare character that always sort of brings people of all religions, all faith, all types of people together, right?
He even brings Bloods and Crips together.
So he is one of those rare characters that most people really like. Some haters out there say they hate Superman, but really, everyone loves Superman.
I prefer Batman, but
you still have Superman. Jeff Johns says the only partner he was going to work with is Gary Frank. He said if Gary Frank wasn't going to draw it, he wasn't going to do it, which I love. I mean, his work, Gary Frank, has always been some of my favorites, from the Legion Superhero stuff and Brainiac stuff.
Yeah, the action run,
the Superman Secret Origins.
Yep.
And
Great
the Batman Earth 1 stuff.
Yep. It's all been good. So he said originally it was called the Doomsday Clock, but they decided to take the off. So it's just called Doomsday Clock, DC. Nice little ring to it. Because this is going... and then it also, according to Jeff Johns here, it says it is sort of implying that whole Doomsday Superman, the death of Superman, try to get some of maybe that crowd back into, because obviously Death of Superman was a huge event.
But Doomsday's not in it.
I mean, it doesn't say. Then the main topic here says, if Rebirth brought hope back to the DC universe, will the grime of Watchmen infect it? And Jeff Johns' reply is, that's exactly the point of the story. Will it and can it? They asked if there were any doubts in tackling the story. He said that's why it's not coming out to November instead of last November or last July. It took 8 months to get the story that they wanted. They've been working on it for quite some time. This is on the emotional connection to the Rebirth special. He says the Rebirth special was so personal, so important to me. It was not about relaunching the line. It was about a story I wanted to tell. So he says, I don't think all my comics turn out great, but that one I do. Well, Jeff, we all think your comics turn out pretty great. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong.
There's a quote by Gary Frank in regards to this that just blew my mind when he said something along the lines of, he always knew Jeff Johns was good, but he had no clue he was capable of writing this.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Oh boy, it's going to be a year.
The hype train.
It's going to be a year.
Ryan is maybe Ryan will be
I already got a spot
in another country for the release of Doomsday Clock #1.
I already got a spot saved on my shelf for the trade paper, for the hardcover, for the omnibus, right?
And the Absolute.
And the Absolute, yeah.
Are you, if they do, are you going to get a promotional LED Doomsday Clock?
Oh, hell yeah, of course. It'd be amazing. It'd be so good.
I kind of want them to make that orderable in general.
So, DC, just send a little money over to Comics Conspiracy, 115 AE Fremont Avenue.
We'll get it. We'll get anything.
Yeah.
Man, good luck, Marvel. Hope Legacy's good, but I mean, book of the year, so no question, not even close. It's going to be huge. It's going to be so fucking huge.
I think the thing is I what I really appreciate, and I'd like to hear Julian's take on this, is I appreciate that they're taking their time. Like, we had the Rebirth special almost a year ago now, right?
Yeah, it was a year.
Because it's 2 weeks, right?
Like a year ago,
about 2
next
week.
Or maybe, I think it's like a year ago next week.
Right at the end of them. And they didn't rush any, like, the first real big thing we're getting is the Batman button stuff.
Yep.
Almost a year later. I mean, we've gotten little like peaks here and there in books and stuff. But I like that they're doing that, and then that they're keeping it as a separate story. Like, they're giving kind of this, it's Johns and Frank, you're telling this story, you can have it and go.
Well, it was always his story. It wasn't going to happen if it wasn't his story.
But the thing is like the whole not having tie-ins, not having all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's super. It's big,
because that's the thing is I mean.
Well, I mean, think about Secret Empire. I mean, all these tie-ins from day one, you're in like $20 from the day it launched. I'm not saying anything bad about Secret Empire. I like it, but you don't have everything. Doesn't have to have 90,000 crossover. Yeah. It really does a disservice to the creators of that original title to have to, and I'm sorry, to the creators of the crossover and tie-in stuff to have to constantly be interrupted by these events.
Yeah, and it shows when you're going and reading in trades and stuff like that. So, I mean, Julian, what do you think about that?
Oh, I mean, hearing that it's a contained standalone thing without splittering off into a bunch of different DC books means that I'll probably go to my comic book store in the next couple of weeks and say, hey, I want Doomsday Clock. Because that sounds all right to me. That sounds I really liked that Rebirth #1. I'm enjoying the button. I'm curious to see, because it's almost, I have this feeling maybe that this is like the final brushing away of the New 52. I just kind of have that feeling.
Have you heard some of the rumors about the books out tomorrow? No, again, I know of nothing official. But a rumor is that there's a number of comments in various completely different books. So it's not like it's all Jeff Johns or Flash stuff. Various books talk about, let's say, a little bit of a different history than we've gotten used to. Various characters mention much longer timelines than what they've been saying in recent years. Characters have been around a lot longer. I think we basically have gotten rid of the New 52 at this point.
And that's why I wish that the New 52 had been a complete line-wide reboot instead of a rejiggering, because the Batman stuff was really good.
You got him, Julian. You got him. Good job.
I don't want that stuff to go away, or if it does, at least be contained into the New 52 universe, where you could then splinter off into here's instead of Earth 2 books, here's New 52 throwback books where you're still getting that stuff.
They totally could if they want to. I said this on Twitter when this was all kind of coming out. I said, look, I love the New 52. I am also okay with the New 52 now going away. I think it was interesting.
The thing
it served its purpose, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of it was a flawed execution. There was great stuff early on, but there was just this line wide kind of misstep at the end.
I think the thing is Green Lantern is just carried through. I mean, they're not forgetting New 52 stuff.
Yeah.
Green Lantern's carrying through. Batman, for the most part.
Superman, Wonder Woman, that never happened now. That's done.
Well, that's the thing is the Superman, Wonder Woman thing never happened, but, it's one of those things where it's like...
So, here's my pitch towards the New 52, just because I can. The New 52 is becoming the Age of Apocalypse, basically.
Sure.
Totally. It has its effects. It was part of sort of a timeline that existed.
Yep.
But
and they can return to it at any point if they want.
Yeah.
It's basically a multi-year Age of Apocalypse DC universe kind of thing.
And they love Blink, so they pull her out of those and put her into the regular books, right? They love Sugar Man, that motherfucker, and they pull him out and they put him in the regular comics. They love Dark Beast, they pull him out, right?
We almost got through an whole episode about Sugar Man.
I mean, the things that were good in the New 52, I feel like, the Snyder Batman run.
Please bring New 52 in.
The Snyder Batman run, the Jeff Johns take on the Justice League. I mean, these haven't gone away. It seems like they're acknowledging the traditional Justice League again, but they're not kind of getting rid of the one we had. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I think that characters like Superman really kind of suffered with the New 52 because and that's really solid. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved the fact that they explored the Wonder Woman and Superman relationship thing, and that did technically happen, even though everything's kind of melded together. It's this weird mixture, because that I mean, the Superman Wonder Woman series by Tomasi was just fantastic.
Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I like Charlie's Age of Apocalypse line.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to look at it. So
and continuing with Doomsday Clock, and Brock's question. I like this idea of letting the books breathe. Because you had mentioned a couple weeks ago that Marvel isn't going after Secret Empire. They're going to basically not have any line-wide events for about 18 months or so, right?
That's what they've said.
That's great. We let these books breathe. Let the writers and the artists do their stories and not be impeded by all of this bullshit, and just let them tell some stories. If they want to cross over with a book every once in a while, that's fine. It's always been that way, but we don't we don't need to relaunch #1s and then put everything on hold for this 12-month long event and then relaunch them again. No, that's why I'm out. That's why I just read Archie at this point.
No, I mean,
because they just renumbered him.
Math has just shown that these relaunches just fail every single time. They don't fail every time. Let me rephrase that. They sell worse every time they relaunch, and
they have the diminishing returns just like cons do.
Right, diminishing returns, and that has killed so many people. And like I said, we're seeing people come back, but those numbers we saw on the sales charts, those aren't like gold standard numbers, man. There's not
you don't have the natural curve, like that natural curve down of
it's a fucking
drop.
You go from sheer cliff.
You go from 100,000 copies to 65. Like there's a gap of there is no books selling 80,000 copies.
No, there isn't.
There's no book selling 75,000 copies.
I mean, well, we're starting to get the DC, the high tier non-Batman books are starting to hit those numbers. We're looking at DC's about 60,000 copies is your sort of high tier that's not called Batman. Marvel though is lower. Yeah, you're looking 40 50 is your absolute highest, and that's not.
Well, because Amazing Spider-Man hasn't been.
Fucking, I don't even know. I didn't even see it on the chart. But let me look it up real quick. I don't even know where Spider-Man was in the charts. It was low.
Because with 25 being a $10 book
and topping the charts, right?
And topping the charts, but then it's like
26
back down again
to normal sales, right? Yeah. And normal sales for Spider-Man are. Let me look. What was April's 26?
We like to have facts here. Real
Show
facts.
me the receipts. It was 62,000 copies, right? So that's it cut in half. And that's the number 15 book, and that's your high tier ongoing. That is your highest ongoing Marvel comic. 62,000. Yes, that is your highest ongoing, not just launched Marvel comic. Is Amazing Spider-Man, and the next one is All New Wolverine at 19, but do you count 19? Because 19 was part of the X-Men relaunch stuff, so heavily pushed through the variants. You have Darth Maul, which is mini and new. You have X-Men Blue. Scarlet Spider is new. Deadpool Punisher is new. Your next book is Old Man Logan, number 21 at 44,000 copies.
And that book is fucking awesome.
It is.
It's better than Spider-Man, and it sells much less.
Where's Thor these days? Has that just like way dropped off?
Oh yeah, where is Thor?
Thor, Mighty Thor is 37,000. That's the number 50 book.
Ooh,
what's it called?
Doctor Strange.
The other Thor was already done by that point.
Unworthy's done.
Yeah, Unworthy. Doctor Strange is 33,000 at the number 64 spot.
Oof.
So, yeah, these are these again. Thor was a top seller for quite a while there.
Wait, so. Captain America doesn't even make. Where's Steve Rogers' cap?
Steve Rogers.
I'm just curious with the connection to Secret Empire.
37,000, number 51.
That's a pathetic bump.
It didn't even break 50.
16 wasn't the 16 wasn't the crossover, was it? Oh, it was.
It was the road to.
Yeah. I didn't order any extra.
It was the opening silo.
I didn't order any extra. No one did. That's the point, right? Yeah. And this is the problem with Marvel sales. Marvel and DC have always been on a bit of a different plateau.
Yeah, but the main tie-in book by the same writer didn't get a bump with the event.
Yeah,
that is
probably not at all. And when we say this about Marvel, I'm not trying to say look exactly at DC sales. These are companies have never been 1-to-1. Marvel has always outsold DC by a factor of 2 or more. So the fact that they are fairly even these days is shocking, to say the least, because you expect these books to be so much higher. But I don't know. That's just the market these days. DC's gone up, Marvel's come down, and they've kind of come pretty close.
And the thing is it's. I think a lot of people. From what I hear, a lot of people just the quality isn't there in the Marvel books that they want to read.
Yeah, Well, this isn't any. I don't want to go on about this too much because we got questions here, but yeah, this is just the continuing Marvel problem, and we'll talk about Secret Empire a little bit in the next few months, and we'll talk obviously the relaunch stuff when it happens, but don't need to bash Marvel any more than we already do. Bryce is already writing angry tweets at me at 5:37 while he's on the train. Ryan Hess, our good friend Ryan Hess asks, and Julian, feel free to jump in on any of these as well.
Sure.
Is anyone getting Injustice 2 or following the comic? Injustice 2, the new video game.
I have not read the comic yet.
I think this was a loaded question.
And I have been looking all day going, should I go buy it? Shouldn't I buy it? Should I go buy it? Shouldn't I? So my rough answer right now is it would not take much to tip me over the buying it.
So we need a quick Twitter poll that you just do for like an hour.
They're all 24 hours.
Oh, shit.
So obviously, I'm a video game fan. I mean, I host a video game podcast.
Yes.
And I'm a fighting game fan, but I have come to the conclusion over the last couple of years that I don't like the way that NetherRealm's games feel. They're kind of laggy, and the animations are, there's a weird bounce to them, if that makes any sense. Like,
Sure.
so that's turned me off, and I don't like the art style for the Injustice games. I don't like those character designs. I know I'm in the minority, but
It's very Wildstorm. I mean, they
Yeah.
did all the character designs, so
yeah. So I mean, it's a hard pass for me.
I bought Injustice 1, played it, should never have spent that much money for it. So I'm not going to go out and buy it. I read the Injustice comics for a while. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
I just kind of fell off. I did pick up Injustice 2, number 1, because it was the Jim Lee cover. So, yeah, I mean, it's there.
yeah.
I actually kind of want to get, because they have the complete year 1 and complete year 2 for the Injustice comic. I kind of want to get those.
The trades, yeah. They're ditching the junky little ones and putting out the full size ones. So,
Oh, that's good. That might those up then.
with Injustice, I played the first one, and I'm not a big fighting game fan at all. So I basically put it on easy mode, walk through the game, and watch the story. I may just jump on YouTube and
Watch the story
and watch the movie for number 2. But we'll see. I don't know if I can pick it up cheap enough. Maybe I'll check it out.
I enjoyed playing the first one. I played it for not as long as I play other games per se, but I did play a fair amount of it and enjoyed unlocking various things and all that. I was actually very, very happy when one of the PlayStation Plus months gave me the game plus the DLC for the PS4.
Oh, cool.
Like early on. So,
Nice.
yeah. I definitely have a lot of interest. I just don't have the time. I'm like in the middle of other games that
Yeah.
I need to finish before investing in the next one.
Oh, Breath of the Wild, I'm so close. I only got like 30 hours left of you, and I'm finally done. So
Every game that's
Tell
come
me.
out this year has been a minimum of 50 hours, and it's starting to get infuriating.
yeah.
So
it's rough.
maybe if you want a quick game, get Injustice 2.
Yeah.
And that would be the thing. If I got it, it would be something I'd play over the next couple of weeks, see the various cinematics, and then set down for
To
probably
collect
ever.
Yeah. Question from Talon says, could we possibly get a whole podcast featured on Image and other publishers outside the big two? You know, I get this question occasionally.
If Ryan would read some stuff, he'd get caught up on his trade reading.
Well, it's funny. I had someone come by the store. This was over the weekend, and they asked, we were talking, and I said, oh, yeah, and we do a podcast here at the store. Like, oh, you know, and they asked, do you guys spoil the comics? And I said, actually, it's completely the opposite. We hardly ever talk about the stories of these things because we talk a lot from the business perspective. I never ignore the independent companies on this podcast. I choose most of the topics, although you guys are always free to add anything you want to the topic list.
Wait, we're allowed to add topics?
You
to the
are, of
topic
course.
list?
Yes. I ask you people to add topics all the time, and no one ever does.
I'm actually thinking it could be fun, especially if you took the time factor out of it, to do a podcast on our our favorite Image and IDW and all that over time.
So
I think it would be hard to do a entire podcast based on what's currently coming out, but I'd love to talk some Hellboy and Six Gun and
this is
I
sort
need to
of
finish that one.
this is sort of the thing that I was coming to, was that the setup of this podcast generally tends to be a little more news based, a little bit more what's the big stories this week.
Us yelling at each other for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Big, and when it comes to Marvel and DC, big plot stuff like The Button and Secret Empire, those sort of big events. Indie comics don't work on that same level, so it would be down. We do cover like Image Expo, and we'll cover all the new releases. If like Oni or IDW is going through like a huge relaunch of stuff, we'll definitely talk about that stuff. But on the indie comics scene, there is less weekly topical news to talk about. On than most Marvel and DC stuff. That the Marvel and DC have work on a very different news cycle. So I'm not against it, but it would be something more like Charlie said, where it'd be like we're going to spend an episode talking about our favorites from these companies, unless here are the 3 Oni books that they solicited this week. Like there isn't the same level of conversation to be had about those titles. Part of it is Brock is right. My independent reading is horrible right now because I read all my independent stuff in trade paperbacks, which means I don't read my independent comics anymore. I read a shitload of Saga on the plane, though.
Oh, you
that
did?
book's pretty good. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but that Saga book's pretty good. I wish people had told me. No, I had read a bunch
Charlie,
of it.
can you grab the Tit hardcover and hit him over the head with it?
I had read a bunch of it. Did you say the Tit hardcover?
Yeah, the first one has the
I thought it was a
breastfeeding
tick
one.
joke. And
I'm just having too much fun going, do we even have a copy of that?
no, I sold out again. I'm getting more and more twos too. I mean, no, I'd read some Saga, but I was like, oh, cool, plane ride. I read a bunch of it. So it's not like I don't want to catch up on these books. It's just
Well, there's a lot. I mean,
work and
if you take Charlie, I mean, your independent reading has gone down
Yeah.
a lot.
but because you have to wait for the giant oversized hardcovers to come out, which
kind of
means
what's
you read
happening.
one every 3 years.
Well,
right?
like for me, I'm probably the guy that reads the most independent stuff at the shop right now.
yeah, but
Maybe
do you see
Marshall.
us doing an episode about Manifest Destiny number 37,
No,
and having
no.
like a long conversation about it?
No, because it would just be me talking for 20 minutes about why don't you guys even read Flora and Fauna Volume 1? Come on. It was,
mind
it was
you-
a homework assignment.
Florence.
I
That's
love
the name of the first trade.
I love the idea of taking the current question out of it because I also think Toby would contribute a lot to that kind of conversation.
No, it would. He would have to read stuff.
If you took the right
The
now
history.
out of
If you took the right now,
he absolutely has favorite
sure.
image and
sure.
essential views. Yeah.
Sure.
Can I do a Bryce style interrupt and say can we take a moment and just talk about how the Big Moose one shot from Archie Comics is like the greatest comic that came out last month? Can we do that for a second?
Oh, Big Moose.
what are you looking at right now, Julian?
I
right
ordered-
across from you. Are you in the G's?
I ordered 2 copies.
No,
One from one subscriber that gets all Archie stuff. I didn't sell the other copy.
Big Moose was so good.
You know what's so
It
weird?
made me cry.
I sell a decent amount of the main Archie book. Not a ton, but a decent amount. Man, can I not move any of those other titles? I
Jughead's
tried. The
where it's
Riverdale
at.
one.
The Betty and Veronica one was rough.
It was real. I love the art, but it was real rough.
it was
Well, it's
rough.
also never going to finish.
Yeah, it never. A question from Dan here. He says, best Wonder Woman stories to read. He wants to catch up before the movie. I would say definitely read the current Greg Rucka Rebirth run. I would say also read the Brian Azzarello New 52 run. I have a feeling the movie is going to be a little bit influenced by the New 52 run. Elements of it.
I'll have to. It was rough for me to get into that because of Chan's artwork. I wasn't a big fan.
Oh, Cliff Chan, he's amazing.
I mean, all the Perez stuff has gotten
But-
easy to get a hold of recently.
Correct. They've added
The old Rucka.
I'm trying to go back. Old Rucka, I think you can skip. I like it, but I don't know that it holds up great. The Gail Simone run,
I've read what's come out so far. I enjoyed
couple
it.
trades, yeah. The Gail Simone run, I mean, I think you can kind of skip. But yeah, the big one's going to be the George Perez run. That's their second volume. The omnibus is out
This
same
week.
time as this week.
The Volume 2 Omnibus is supposed to be this week.
This week, okay, yeah, it's supposed to come out like right before the
That's
movie.
why
And
it
I
was
think
delayed. They just couldn't get it off the truck.
maybe the next soft cover is coming out at the same time as the movie. There's a couple of trades coming out like right prior to the movie.
Oh, they've had that. Well, they have the advertisement in the book right now.
yeah.
Like read like these Wonder Woman titles.
yeah.
I'd also
but I
say
think-
if you don't want to make a big money commitment and you don't know a lot about her like I do, I really liked the Grant Morrison Earth 2 book that came out like a year ago
Oh, yeah.
or so. That was really good. I liked that a lot.
If you are trying to save some money, I'm sure they'll do a Wonder Woman
Sale
sale on
from
Comixology.
Comixology.
Oh yeah,
Right
absolutely.
beforehand.
Well, and there was a free comic day Wonder Woman book, which was issue number 2, was the first part of the year 1 story that was from the Rebirth books. There's also
Also, it was
gonna be,
issue 2 of not number 1.
it's the first part of year 1, which was issue 2, because they have the 2 stories.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Rebirth.
yeah.
There's also going to be a Wonder Woman Day that Saturday. The movie comes out, which we're going to get some free comics to give out, different stuff, different reprint
Yeah,
stuff.
DC's not promoting it all.
Yeah, they're not promoting the Wonder Woman movie at all. So yeah, there should be some good stuff if you want to check out Wonder Woman, and hopefully stores are stocked up. I know I've reordered a couple trades to hopefully sell people when the movie comes out. So yeah, definitely worth a check. Hey, Mitch,
why'd you steal my line, asshole?
He says, "What are your expectations?"
No, seriously, why'd you steal my line?
Because
you're a dick.
He says, "What are your expectations for Preacher season 2? I didn't care for season 1, but I'm willing to give it one more chance now that they're in the comics." I have no idea. Someone will have to tell me how it is because I hated that fucking show and I will not go back. Sorry, you lost me. I've never been so angry at a show in my life.
That's okay. I'll watch season 2.
Let me know if it's good.
Especially since they finally worked in the Saint of Killers. So
let me know if it's any good.
Oh, what did anybody watch the X-Men Gifted trailer?
I watched the trailer.
I thought it looked all right.
It looks like it has potential. I mean, I loved the Legion show, especially how it ended. So X-Men television shows kind of have me bought in right now. We'll see if they screw it up.
Right.
Oh, Bryan Singer, stop making anything forever. Thank you. I mean,
plus it has Amy Acker in it, and I like Amy Acker.
Yeah,
I'm just curious if we're going to get a Santa Killers pop this year from the show.
Oh, I'm sure we are.
So, Mitch, do you want us to order you one?
I mean, I thought it looked okay. I think it's just okay. Well, it's a TV, not it's TV, and it's not the X-Men. I mean,
it's bumping Gotham to a different night.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And the fact that it's called, I mean, why isn't this fucking just called The X-Men?
It's going to be Gifted and then Lucifer on Mondays.
The Gifted. It frightens me that they're calling it that.
So you know, well, no, that was the first story arc to Astonishing X-Men.
I know. Why is it not called X-Men?
Because they don't want to put that much emphasis on it. No,
because it's not going to be about the X-Men.
What if they called it? What if they called it? What if it was?
They're afraid of the comics, and I hate that.
What if it was just like Xavier's School? If that's the show, or just Xavier's?
I don't.
So
I mean, I'll watch it.
The trailer had a quick mention of we don't even know if the X-Men or the Brotherhood are still around.
Yeah.
So at least they're not shying away from it completely.
I mean, it's going to be the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of X-Men stuff. It's going to be like, yeah, we're totally in the universe. See? Yeah, look, we mentioned Charles Xavier once.
Oh, dear God.
Showed up this week.
I hope
Have you finished Legion yet? Finish Legion, damn it.
No.
You haven't finished Legion?
No, I'm super behind.
Did you finish Legion?
I got it.
Brock started?
Kind of. Shh.
Damn it.
He borrowed it from his friend on the internet yesterday.
I don't care. I need somebody to talk Legion with.
I'll get to it. Final question. It's from our good friend
famous
Casey.
Last words from Higgins.
Our good friend Casey. Oh boy, Casey, what have you got to say this time? He says, I always want to say Casey changes his Twitter username constantly.
He does.
But his avatar, he switches back and forth between a few avatars, and I'm pretty sure I always know who it is, but sometimes I'm like, is this the same person? Casey says, what do you imagine Bryce Larson is doing right now? Bonus points for Rob Bonus points for Rob Liefeld references. I assume he isn't on this episode. He is not on this episode. Bryce is doing whatever Bryce is doing. And what do we think Bryce is doing right now? I think he's getting really mad at this podcast. And now we heard his voice.
Hold on, I can check.
He heard me saying bad things about the X-Men. And he felt that little tingle in his heart. He's like, my X-Men sense is tingling. But now he's hearing his name.
His ears are buzzing.
So now he's like, oh, but people are talking about me. That's a good thing. Oh, but it's Ryan. That's a bad thing.
He's taking notes for all the stuff he wants to tweet tomorrow.
Yes.
Hold on.
He's getting ready to respond.
Well, I know Indigator's on Hearthstone right now.
He's getting ready to respond to like 19 tweets of mine and yell at me for a bunch of stuff for some reason.
I feel that wherever Bryce is, he's just repressing his inner geek, because it's clear to me that nobody knows the depths of his geekdom until he gets onto the show, and then it just ushers forth like a geyser because he's been holding it in for so long.
It's not a geyser. It's like watching him just vomit. Just
I tell people this all the time. You know, Wednesdays here is like the nerd bar, right? It's like everyone's.
I told you.
Everyone's
repressed. Next door.
Everyone's repressed nerd rage from work. They have to get it out here, so they gush all over me for a half an hour, and they're like, "All right, back to the real world." And I'm like, "Yep, see you later."
It's not healthy, man. Just be yourself.
Oh, I nerd out at work all the time.
All right. That's a podcast. Julian, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks
So
for
the
having
answer
me.
was he was not playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, he's not playing Hearthstone.
Indigator was, though.
Okay.
Or at least Indigator was on.
That's Geekbox talk. That's not Comic Conspiracy talk.
Hearthstone?
Yeah,
You need to order me that art book.
I'll try.
No, you won't.
That's Comic Conspiracy talk then. Okay, Julian, thank you for being on once again.
Yes, thank you.
Well, no, Julian, is there anything you wanted to discuss?
I think we covered it, actually.
Yeah, he gave me his list.
I can do a shameless plug of my show, but that's about it.
Yes, that was my next question. Tell the people who you are and why you're famous.
Famous is very generous. Well,
Okay,
people,
infamous.
Long-time listeners of the show probably know that I'm the host of the Nerds Without Pants podcast.
No pants.
There we go. Toby's not here. But
I didn't do a good job.
So we've been steadily growing over the last few months, and I credit part of it to my visit to the store and being on the Geek Box and the Comic Conspiracy then in person, and just other little things here and there. So that's been good. So this time, instead of just like saying what the show is and everything, we're recording actually on Thursday the 18th, and our show is interactive. So we have 2 different topics that people can chime in on. And if you want to get in on this, just tweet your answers or DM us at NWPcast. We have open DMs. But for our opening segment, we want to know your top 3 video game tropes. These are things that are very cliche in video games, but you love them anyway. And we also want to know your favorite game of 1994. And I'm just telling you right now that there's really only one right answer, but I'm not going to bust your balls if you're wrong, like we did on last episode. Last episode,
I'm gonna look up a list. What's 94? That's not Chrono Trigger, is it?
No, that was 95. And
95. Okay.
Anybody who didn't pick Chrono Trigger in 95, I played The Price is Right losing horn for them, and because that particular year there was only one right answer. Definitely.
God, what's 94?
94 is a lot of big stuff. There's Super Metroid, Final Fantasy VI, Earthbound. There's a lot of big games, but
I'll have to look on the list.
Yeah,
you just mentioned 2 of my favorites. So
yeah. So
Solitaire
if you want to get in on that,
console?
and you just tweet at us at NWPcast, and if you've never heard the show before, at least you know you're going to be on that episode, and give us a shot.
Nice. All right, we got to thank some of our good friends from Patreon here. Let's thank, our first good friend, of course, is Julian Titus of the Nerds Without Pants podcast.
Thank you, Julian.
That's on pixelbit.com, because I know you guys have another site, but that's what I've got written here. So
Pixelbit is the website. You can always find the show on iTunes. I need to start getting the show out onto other podcasting platforms, and I've just been dragging my ass on that front.
Cool. Yeah.
Somebody already owns nerdswithoutpants.com.
It's a porn site. You don't want to go there. It's just...
You went there?
No. I'm just.
How do you know it's a porn site?
It's a joke.
You went there, didn't
According
you?
to your background images here, you go there a lot. Jesus Christ.
Hey, man, I'm lonely.
Ryan Hess has the Preach podcast.
At least it's not sticky.
At soundcloud.com/Preach podcast. Jody Lawson has his comics anthology called Triad Comics. Canon. The Triad Comics Anthology, which is at triadcomicstudios.com. Go check them out.
So I wanted to say something. For if you are not following Ryan Hess on Twitter or Facebook,
I love his
too, because he is writing one of the funniest. I worked in a pawn shop, shops like books ever.
I love his pawn shop tweets because he works in a pawn shop, and the stuff that people bring in to pawn is hilarious.
It's awesome. I'll see it one day. I'm like, oh, put a smile on my face.
Yeah. He posts some great stuff.
So,
also our good friends, Manoa Place, Sam J. Talon Bray, who had a question on this podcast, and Craig Anderson, who's apparently playing Hearthstone right now. So thank you guys for all your support on Patreon. Of course, patreon.com/Comic Conspiracies, where you can go donate a couple bucks to this podcast if you enjoy it and you want to kick us a few bucks for
entertaining you for over an hour or so.
Yeah, for an hour and 30 some odd minutes. Of course, comicconspiracypodcast.com. That's where you can find these episodes, as well as geekbox.net and iTunes. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Rate and review us, please. Those reviews on iTunes actually
Are
do
we ranked?
help.
What are we ranked on iTunes?
I don't know, 97,000? I have no clue. They don't rank comic podcasts in any real category that's easy to get to the top to.
Because I know that some people have said, "Oh, you popped up on my iTunes thing," and I was like, how do we do that?
Just if people search for comic books or Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll pop up, right? The Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net. That is where you can send your long form emails to Send us a question if you got one. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That's your digital storefront. Buy all your comics on there. I actually meant to talk about this more during the episode because I feel like a lot of people missed it. They don't understand how this works. Remind me to do this next week because I do got to talk about digital comic stuff for a bit. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog and video pull list.
Which is delayed this week.
Yeah. Because our books are delayed.
Because the books are delayed.
Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. Check that out.
What episode are you
the new
on?
season?
Well, we're doing the new season right now and recording a little bit ahead for the Colin Baker stuff.
Nice.
So.
Going fast there.
Yep.
Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That's my wife, Leanne. That's all her artwork. You can pick up stuff from her there, as well as she's going to be at the San Jose Toy Show this weekend. She's going to have a booth Saturday and Sunday. Check her out. Ryan Higgins Ryan, that's me. I'm on Twitter. That's my name, Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Larson, I should see if that asshole Ryan Higgins ever gave up that account. I really should check that again.
Go. Check it, man.
Brock Sager, that's Brock Sager. Larson Bryce is Bryce Larson. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. Julian Titus, you're Julian _Titus, correct?
Correct.
Is that you? All right.
Bryce has his Twitter quote.
Yeah, and someone set up a Bryce Twitter. Bryce quote Twitter. It wasn't any of us. We swear to God. I don't know who you are, but thank you. You do the God's work.
It is hilarious to take Bryce's lines out of context and
do
just
the Lord's work there.
plaster them on the internet.
Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, All Talk Podcast, Manga Machinations, and of course, Nerds Without Pants. Check those out. Those are some great podcasts that we're all involved in some fashion or not, but, you know, they're podcasts we like to talk about. Julian, once again, thank you very, very much for being on. We'll have you on again soon.
Definitely.
And that's going to be it, and we'll see you next week.